Today, we're going to dive into what multiple retail stores is saying about the consumer. They are showing potential signs of slowing down, but this one retail store is playing it very, very smart. And with all of this, you can really tell as to what the consumer is feeling, how they are going to be moving forward, because everybody is starting to tighten up here with their favorite restaurants. The first one being Chipotle. Some people call it Chipotle, but the same store sales have wobbled on economic uncertainty. Chipotle usually is a staple and does not generally see massive amounts of slowdowns, even in recessionary times, because simply people like the food, people get in a routine, people go back and forth. But once times are hitting tough and Chipotle raised their prices on top of all of this, they're losing loyal customers. Now, I'm going to dive into in a little bit as to what another retail store is doing to keep their customers, but let's focus on Chipotle ahora. That means now. So Chipotle same store shares have slid 0.4% in Q1, according to their earnings statement, a potential warning sign for the restaurant industry that it could indicate broader slowdown in consumer spending. The same store sales decline comes as Chipotle reports a 2.3% drop in comparable transactions. Consumers slowed down spending, starting in February, according to the company's call from internal research and their CEO. So economic uncertainty, all blaming the Trump administration for federal cuts on spending. Oh, including potentially illegal firings. Look at that. And Mercurial national trade policy seems to be freezing consumer spending. Chipotle's same store sales decrease is worrying. The brand was a sales growth leader in an already challenging environment. So it's interesting, right? Because we're seeing Chipotle lower its sales. Consumers are starting to slow down their spending. But a big aspect that a lot of these articles are missing is that Chipotle raised their prices a few months ago. And so, okay, economic times are tight, and Chipotle has decided to raise the prices, thus making it harder on their consumer. Well, it seems only logical that they're going to now start to slow down that spending. I mean, right? It makes sense. But thus we prevail. It's the fast casual chain still had a revenue of $2.88 billion. That's up 6.4%, but slightly below the consensus. The net income, Chipotle said it now expects comparable sales growth for a full year in the low single-digit range, down from the previous estimate. The analysts have called for a 3.1% growth, which is a very big slowdown. And they're blaming the impact of consumer spending. Meanwhile, on the flip side of things, we've got another retail store that everybody knows and loves, Walmart, Wally World. They've amped up discounts in this area, essentially trying to help provide relief to the consumer. And these manager special signs call out price cuts. So it's doubled down on its discounts, a move to drum up demand and grow market share in the face of macroeconomic uncertainty. So it's interesting the way that we're seeing these two somewhat different industries, but all the same, right? Fast casual. It's not supposed to be necessarily breaking the bank, these big, large chain restaurants or anything like that. It's supposed to be, all right, you go get your lunch, get $10, $12, $15 lunch. You go there on a very regular basis. Instead, maybe now we're seeing some of the office workers pack their lunch. On the other side of things, we're seeing Walmart lower their prices. They're promoting them even more, saying it's a manager special, calling out the price cuts on key items across departments. According to the document viewed by Bloomberg News, the goal is to match competitors' prices on specific products, and the tags will contain details like how much the item cost before, in addition to the new prices. So it's always been known for lower pricing, but it's focusing even more on the consumer's cut down now that the consumer is showing cracks. And I think that this is absolutely brilliant in a way to help and actually lower the prices of things. When I talk about inflation, a lot of times I love to give the example of an oil change at, say, someplace like Jiffy Lube, right? Generally, when you get an oil change, if inflation hits hard and it goes from a $50 oil change to a $75 oil change, you generally don't see those prices come down. But what is Walmart doing that is unique? They're bringing the price down. They're bringing it down as much as they can in order to obtain market share. So the Fed is talking about, hey, inflation, inflation, inflation. Well, if we've got CEOs of stores saying, hey, we actually need to bring prices down if we can, lower the margins a little bit, maybe eat some of it, slim up the staff a little bit, that might actually bring inflation down. And we could have deflation, which of goods, but the purchasing power of the dollar would actually thus increase, which is a very interesting turn of events on how these tariffs could potentially bring that back. Look, this is all speculation, of course. This is just one. Obviously, Walmart is one of the biggest retail stores in the world. So it is a big move. And this move by the world's largest retailer tracks with its tendency to zero in on prices even more in a soft spending environment or when there's opportunity to gain market share. Its discounting practices include company-wide reductions, calling rollbacks. Store managers have also long compared prices with competitors, then match and beat them. So as we're seeing headlines like this, that there's rising fears of tariffs, they plummet U.S. consumer confidence. It's at 4-year lows. It's the lowest in 12 years. Inflation still a major concern. We've got Walmart lowering prices, right? We've got Walmart continuing to be smart and try to gain up some of this market share that we've got going on and continue to gain more customers, which I think is very unique. We're not going to see too many stores be able to do this just yet, but we will be able to potentially see this here going forward, where more of these, retail stores, as they become more successful, if Walmart becomes more successful, we're going to be looking at, more and more Walmarts coming on. Even though we've got these rising fears of tariffs plummeting the U.S. consumer confidence to a 4-year low. So the tariffs panned by economists for souring uncertainty, and they said it makes it challenging for businesses to plan ahead. Well, the U.S. consumer confidence will continue to plunge, but if we've got guys over here like the legends at Wally World, you could potentially start to see this start to make the dollar go farther. But what are we also seeing, right? We see the airlines. This is always a great one to check out because, the airlines, travel, all these kind of consumer nice to haves outside of business travel that's generally just, on the go. We usually see airlines start to slow down the first sign of a recession, right? They really start to take it down here, take it down a notch. Major U.S. airlines warn demand is slowing, right? And these guys are usually one of the first to see it. So the major U.S. airlines thought they were going to have a strong first quarter, but things are not going as well as expected. Each of the major U.S. airlines has put out guidance pointing to significant economic uncertainty that is directly affecting their domestic bookings this spring. For its part, Delta was sure this would be strong first quarter, but this morning the airline CEO admitted that they were wrong. During the JP Morgan Industrial Conference in New York, Southwest, United, and American all echoed the same messages. They say the region, 2 major plane incidents, and the uncertain economic future, plummeting government travel and reductions to corporate travel. Bookings have fallen. There's been crashes on planes. There's been a lot of factors, right, to potentially sway you from taking all of this. And one of those factors might have been like the dollar plummeting as well, not being as strong. Well, we're seeing it climb back up a little bit, right? We're not quite to that $1 equals $1 just yet, to that 100 mark that we love to see on the Dixie, but we're getting there, right? We had the dollar off to the worst start since they started tracking it here in 50 years. did the video on it the other day, and now we're starting to inch our way back, right? And the market's reacting positively towards this. We're starting to see a little bit of a climb back. We got up 1% a day nearly in the past 5 days. So that's something that, we do like to see. We like to see the market start to inch and climb its way back. And I think that that's what we're going to continue to see here. We've got 2 people in the chat, or at least watching. We got the GOAT McLovin. So always good to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. Because first we're started off as saying, hey, Chipotle, warning of low economic headwinds because consumer spending. But they didn't note the fact in all of this that Chipotle raised their prices before this report came out and before their earnings come out. So other companies have been very forward-looking with this, most notably Walmart being very forward-looking with how they are going to continue to conduct business. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. Get as much market share as you can at low prices with these guys, and you will see more people start to flock to Wally's World. So as we've got rising fears, consumer confidence at a 14-year low, the lowest level in March, and continuing to fall down because of these tariffs, as long as we've got airlines saying that the demand is slowing and other businesses, consumer staples, looking at things like, other retail stores and airlines and whatnot, slowing down in their overall revenue projections. It's all pointing to what we all have been somewhat feeling, right? The economic situation has not been great. But I think the reality of the situation is that Trump had to shock the market a little bit because we had a lot of the fugazi stuff going on, right? It was a little inflated, to say the very least. So now we've got the dollar creeping on back, and we're getting it to creep and crawl back to nearly the 1 of 1, and we will get there somewhat soon. But as McLovin is saying, a strong dollar is not everyone's friend. Exactly. It's not. It'll be friends for assets. It'll be friends for, the U.S. domestics, but it's not friends for international trade and other aspects like that, right? Especially when we see, these tariffs being implemented. As long as the dollar keeps getting stronger, it'll be an interesting way to see how this plays out, right? Because Donald Trump has been very sporadic, to say the very least, when it comes to his various policies, right? He's been very sporadic, just kind of changing different things and doing it on the flip of a dime. So because he's been doing that, it's been hard for people in the market to, necessarily anticipate that. And the market's always forward looking. So I think the best thing to track is simply the strength of the dollar here. So don't forget to smoke that like as I'm going through all of this. Smoke it like Cheech and Chong, as the GOAT all-nighter hider always says, because Walmart would like this video, right? I'm kidding. But slowing down the spending, I think, or the speeding up the discounts and bringing more of those to the consumers, I think, is a very interesting play and something to be tracked here going forward. So hit that subscribe button for me. Been rapidly growing this channel. I've gained, a little over 20 subscribers since I started doing live streams on the 7th. I'm going to see how quickly I could get to 1,000 subscribers. So help me out, folks. Hit the subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And I will see you guys all at the next one.